We done did it. We're live, boys and girls.
Yeah, let me mute the screen.
February 11th, 2021. Really?
Don't you mean February 13th?
Huh?
Don't you mean February 13th?
I think it's the 11th.
No, yeah, I know. I just traveled to the future 2 days. Don't mind me.
You're trying to get me into the future again. People
Yes.
keep trying to do that.
When we travel to the future, contact Ian Chin.
Oh my God. I just got a message that Answers in Atheism is live for the weather report on my phone.
Oh my gosh.
I guess we are live. No stopping
I think it's
it now.
official.
Are we alive though? Like we made it a matter, and matter isn't alive. So
Well, that's just
are we alive?
semantics. That's just semantics, Midnight.
Of course it is.
Okay,
Danny.
it's all over. It's all over. Ian said, "I'm from the future and I didn't see you." Oh man.
No.
What the
I'm gonna
hell
go out and
is
order all the
going
ice
on?
cream I want.
Okay.
Shit. Ian always calls me from the future and lets me know that I'm there. But today, apparently, I did not see my shadow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a shit ton of snow outside,
Really?
which sucks.
And we got a shit ton of cold. It's so cold that the snow.
Yeah, tell me about it. I need to go food shopping later. Holy shit, is it cold? I really hope there's no ice. I don't feel like slipping.
Somebody's talking about.
Speed in midnight. What the fuck, Thomas?
I don't know what the fuck is wrong with that guy.
Everything.
Yep.
So
Hold
don't
on.
you have Instacart in your area?
We do.
I believe so. But I'm gonna drive me to Walmart or ShopRite.
Walmart delivers.
Ever since
Yeah,
John Maddox on a late stream admitted that he delivers groceries for Instacart, I think,
Uh-huh.
because he told the story about it. I've been afraid to use Instacart because I'm afraid Maddox is going to.
Like what's? Could you? Well, hold on. Like what? Does he live in your state, in your town?
No, but he probably moonlights a little bit. Times are tough.
Well, just imagine. Holy shit! Holy shit! Just imagine if he were to do that. Like he drives up to your house. You ring the doorbell, and he's like, "Oh shit! It's Speed."
Yeah, that would be great. Goddamn, Ian, we don't mind fucking coal in Minnesota, okay? Oh God, I found this like my uncle's great grandson in California, and he didn't know anything about the family at all. And he said, "Oh yeah, I heard my great grandpa was a coal miner in Minnesota." And I said, "You fuck, it's iron mines. We don't have fucking coal in Minnesota." God damn it, Ian.
No, that's sissy stuff like coal.
Yeah, that's sissy shit. Iron is like billions of years old. Fucking coal is just, what is that? 100 million or?
I got a quick question.
What's that?
Okay, yesterday you showed that picture of SFT and then something about does SFT have feathers or do creationists have feathers?
Yeah.
Did we cover that or something about that, or was that just something you came up with?
It was based on one of his late night streams about feathers and dinosaurs.
Okay.
And that was the night before. I did link it in the chat in the description of yesterday's weather report. And no, we didn't cover it. I didn't have the cover. Well, I would love to cover it, but you would have to go through his entire video, pull up all the papers, read all the papers. It takes it takes too much energy. To cover.
Too much, man.
Yeah, fuck it. Having sex with coal does not sound pleasant, especially if it's on fire.
Ooh. It depends on your tastes.
Yeah. So we used to have this furnace when I was a kid, and it was a wood coal furnace, and my dad used to get coal, and I put these big chunks of coal in there, and then they would like turn into these just super bright orange, sparkling plasma. Mm-hmm. It's like staring into the sun. And I sit down there with the furnace open, staring at it, imagining that was Venus or, some other planet or something. And it was like, I just had that memory. Fucking great. I still have memory. Isn't that amazing? I can still remember.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, see, as you go, your short-term memory goes, and you remember those random things from the past.
Right, and don't remember anything about. Who are you guys again?
Who are you? Do I know you? Or you pretend you know people you don't know?
Oh yeah, fuck, I hate that.
Yeah, I will be back in a bit. Hold on.
Okay, see you in a minute.
Sure.
So anyway, the whole thing. Danny did this video on semantics, and his example was just really bad. It was about, if we have a different name for a cat or a dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're already talking about objects out in the world that we all agree on. That does not apply to when he came inside of his own mind and started using cultural, linguistic artifacts like desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is a desire,
What is a desire?
Yeah, I mean, we can easily communicate with each other, and we know what we're talking about. But when you think about what the fuck it really is, it gets a little deep, I think. Like, a desire is something that I want that I know I don't have, that I would like to go out and get in the future, that sort of thing. So we plan ahead. But then a desire is also a feeling that I'm sure motivates any mammal. So any mammal has a desire. And I think, like raccoons, I'm pretty sure that they can plan ahead. They can plan motor movements just like us. There's something called the premotor cortex that's just, it's a little band just forward of the kind of the center of your head where the motor cortex is. And the premotor cortex is where you can actually plan a move out. Like if you watch a cat that's going to jump up on a table, he's setting up his premotor cortex to imitate the feeling of him jumping up on the table. So he's rehearsing it in his mind. And there are a bunch of neuroscientists, and I'm with them, that believe that the premotor cortex in this planning movement is where thought came from. It's what we think. In fact, they can put electrodes in that sucker and watch you go through a thought process, and you are moving your face muscles and you're pre-firing, muscles without actually moving. And so they could see that, and there's an interchange with the frontal lobes, the far front part of your brain that has all sorts of conceptual space, more complicated abstractions of what's going on in your motor cortex and your premotor cortex. So the idea is that thinking is an exaptation, which means that it was, it evolved to use something we used to use for something else for something new. Mm-hmm. So it's an exaptation of movement, of motor movement. Because, like when when you're going to go up the steps, there's a part of your mind that sees you walking up the steps, that, feels you moving up the steps. And then you go ahead and say, go, and you start walking up the steps. And it all happens very quickly. So it really is, I think it's called, what the fuck, there's a name for it, and I keep forgetting the name. There's a name for the theory, and it's on Google Scholar. Do you know about Google Scholar?
Yes, I know about Google Scholar.
Yeah,
that's how I found that Hot Springs hypothesis paper.
Or no, not Google Scholar. I'm sorry, Wikipedia Scholar, or what is it? Scholarpedia. It's a part
I'm not so familiar with it.
You are?
I'm not.
Oh, it's part of the wiki. It's called Scholarpedia. And they have a whole lot of neuroscience articles out there. But it isn't easy to find. They don't make it easy to find the neuroscience articles.
Is it beta or something?
It's beta. It must be, because they don't have your Scholarpedia. Okay, and I'm trying to find Celestial Computational Neuroscience. I'll post a link. Okay. This is really great.
Is it free?
Oh yeah, it's part of Wikipedia. Yeah, just
okay. I have a quick question for Doubting Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your little avatar here. What are we seeing? Is that like the night sky from inside the eye of a hurricane? Is it a sewer pipe?
It looks like a sewer pipe.
Yeah. What are we seeing
You're not even close on either account.
It's a
that.
planet.
No. You see that line going down the middle?
Yeah.
That's a fishing line.
Oh, it's an ice. Oh, ice hole.
Oh, you're ice fishing?
Yes.
Well, all right, I get it now. Now those little things I thought were maybe stars or something, or are ice chunks.
Yes. Yeah, just like little like slush.
Where was this something you took?
Yes.
Where were you at?
A few years ago. I was in Newfoundland, Canada.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to go there.
It's awesome, man. The people are cool and it's beautiful.
Yeah, we have a lot of ice holes in Minnesota.
Yeah, you do a lot of fishing there for sure, man.
Yeah, I used to go ice fishing on Lake Laconia at 3 a.m. and I'd drag out a portable ice house, and I had a depth finder. And did you know you can use a depth finder in the winter?
I did not.
You pour antifreeze on the ice, and you put down the transducer in the antifreeze, and you can see right through the ice, and you can see those crappies.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You're pouring antifreeze everywhere. Isn't that polluting?
This is Minnesota.
Yeah, but they evolved. The fish evolved through that. Right?
In Minnesota, we don't care about the environment.
We have fuck them here.
You got 10,000 lakes. What's a little fucking antifreeze?
Yeah, so you dwindle it down to 5,000. Who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, I have a question. When Danny is talking about semantics and the thing with the dog and the cat,
yep,
does that have anything to do with the difference between natural and non-natural? Because I'm still trying to wrap my head around this.
Well, what he was doing is, a while back we were arguing about. I think we were arguing about natural selection, and I told him. I said that's just semantics, right? So that's the name of this video. So he thought I was being intellectually dishonest because I dismissed it as semantics and did not come back with an argument. Okay. And so my point on my video this morning was that no, it very much is semantics, but semantics is a little deeper than just mislabeling a cat or a dog, right? Like when you're talking about things inside your mind, like desire and prescriptive and descriptive and planning ahead and all of that stuff, or subjective experience. We have a cultural and linguistic way of dealing with our inner world, right? So that we can talk to each other. It's like, I believe that Doubting Thomas has a picture of a planet as his icon, right? So we have a way of talking about these. And that is so it has semantics, right? It has meaning that means something to us. And we all know what each other is talking about, right? But do we? Now, then when you cross over into naturalism, you're in an entirely different semantic space.
Right.
So desire is going to mean something entirely different, right?
I get that. I think I get what you're saying, sort of. I don't understand what Danny means when he says non-natural. I think. Yeah, I think I don't understand, but I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody actually does, and it's because Danny is thinking in an entirely different semantic space than we are. As naturalists. So my challenge to him is that you have to frame it in our terms in order to argue against our worldview, right? So he has to.
Right, but there's a problem there, right? Let me see if I get this right. There's a problem there because how would Danny put it in naturalistic terms?
Right.
If he sees it as something outside of natural.
Well, yeah, and that is a big problem, but how else are you going to do it? I mean, if you're going to tumble naturalism, you have to show that naturalism is inconsistent. And
right.
To do that, you're going to have to work within the framework of naturalism to show that naturalism is inconsistent. You're not going to be able to throw away naturalism and say, oh, desire desire, you're not going to reify desire as a basically ontological real, as an ontologically real item in the world. Okay.
Right.
So
Just saying it's non-natural doesn't really have any explanatory power at all, kind of.
right. Yeah.
Any more than saying God did it.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really. And that was kind of my, like, when I read his premises, I can agree with all of them because we all understand the space that Danny's coming from. That's that subjective experience, our cultural linguistic handling of subjective experience. We can all communicate with each other, and that's how we deal with each other every day as other minds, right? So
Right.
we understand that space. I'm not sure if he understands our space, where we'll take desire and say, oh, okay, so if we were to brain scan this sucker while he's desiring something, what would it look like? Don't you think that's what a good naturalist would do, is put you in a CAT scan or an MRI and try to figure out what the fuck is going on?
Oh, sure. It's like he's saying, and maybe this is what he's saying. My desires come from another realm. Like my desires, I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to ask him. Like every time I have a new desire, that actually comes from somewhere else besides the natural world. That is what he's saying, right? So does every time I need a new desire, does that come from God? Or does that come? This is what I was kind of trying to ask him the other night. Is there a brain behind that? Is there a brain that has to manufacture my design for me other than my brain?
Yeah. He believes that there is a dual space, that there is, there is a ontologically extant realm called mind. And that's where desires come from, and that's where desires live. And
is that what normal people? I don't know normal people. That's a shitty term.
That's what Christians think.
Exactly. Is that just? I was going to say, is that just what other people call God? That mind that you just spoke of.
I think so. Yeah. Well, no, that's what they call our soul. Like God gives us his soul, and it's this mind space, and that thing exists, and that thing interacts with the brain. They admit that it correlates to brain activity, and it interacts. They will admit that much, but they think that when you die, it still hangs around and it can still do things. So you could still desire something after you die.
Sure, and so then that leads to the communication between God and what they call my soul. That communication is somehow, as far as I know, has to be non-physical, non-natural.
Yeah. There has to be a supernatural intervention onto the mind somehow. A connection, right?
Right. And it's just there, but we can't prove it with science because it's not provable by science. But we just have to how I don't know, that's probably a bad question.
But the thing is, Danny came to our house and tried to convince naturalists that naturalism is inconsistent, using his words. And his words, I said, were from his semantic space, which assumes his dualism, and he can't do that. He's got to come up with something better.
Well, he would, if I understand what you're saying, if he would have to prove naturalism is inconsistent within naturalism.
Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, naturalism is consistent and we don't have a problem. So why should we adopt your dualism? What is your evidence? Oh, they would hate that if we asked them for evidence of this dual, because of course there can't be any.
Well, yeah, I get that. Yes, I get that. I could see where they're saying you're asking for evidence. that they have no way to provide yet, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a conundrum, and I want to try to be what did he call it? Generous? Is that the word he used? I think it was generous, right? Something like that to his argument, and try to
Charitable?
charitable. Yeah,
Favorite
charitable.
word.
Thank you, Scott. You should come live here and fucking help me find my keys.
They're over there in the corner.
Oh, there they are. Cat got them.
Cat got them. Use them to try to get out the window.
Cat got the keys. Cat got my tongue.
One of these days, you're going to walk into the front door. There'll be a thud against the back of your head, and your cat will steal your keys and then go out and drive your car away.
Yep. Yeah, they're planning. They watch me.
Yeah.
Like when I open doors or make, like when I get their food out and I start opening it, they just sit there and stare at me and they watch everything I'm doing. They're like, we can do this. We can do this without you. They're planning ahead. They're looking at me thinking this fucker ain't going to last long. Oh my God. So Tandlo is really putting out a whole lot of posts here.
Fuck him. Stephanie said something interesting, I think. She said desires come only from the ego. When you die, you don't take that ego with you.
That is good. Yes.
Okay, so there is no desire after death. Then
I thought desires come from the id.
But what
the bad ones do?
If there's no desires after death, how is there any thinking after death? How is there any sort of interaction after death? Stephanie.
Yeah. Because usually it's id, ego, superego. Id are the impulses, your desires. Ego is the rational mind. And then superego, it was supposed to be like the referee over them.
Okay, so Tandlo wrote a whole argument for dualism here. And he ends it with, therefore, dualism is true. And since the universe had a beginning, the mind proceeds and exists beyond the universe. That mind is God. So he's got an entire argument, and it's a number of posts. And if it's so Tandlo, you wonder whether it's worth actually going through it.
Yeah.
But no, he's got some stuff here. Intentions, free volition, free creation, invention, generation. It classifies, recognizes, and judges behavior, good and evil. Sounds like Danny, doesn't it? Hard objects are observed spontaneously to transform. What? Put an Alka-Seltzer in a glass of water and tell me that.
Yep.
Or phosphorus. Put phosphorus in oxygen and tell me that. Let's see. Okay.
Put a piece of coal in the wood stove and tell me that.
Into abstract. Okay, transform into themselves into abstract ideas to ascribe to the electrons in our brain the property to generate consciousness, and not to ascribe the same property to electrons moving in a bulb, is in contradiction with quantum physics. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, so tangible. You don't know shit about quantum physics. Establishes that all electrons are equal and indistinguishable, that they all have exactly the same properties, so they can't be thought, I guess. The mind is to the brain what a pianist is to the piano.
You need to be careful with those enunciations.
Pianist?
The mind is to the brain what a pianist is to a piano.
Pianist.
Yeah. What is the so absent the piano? What is the pianist?
Yeah. They still think he exists. He's had nothing to play on. He's pretty bored.
He's just out there. But okay.
Absent of the piano, he's just a regular dude.
Well, no, because this is we're basically talking non-natural now. So absent the piano, the pianist, is just somewhere out there lurking outside of the boundaries of the natural world somewhere. Could you even say he's in another dimension? Because another dimension wouldn't really be non-natural, would it?
Right. Yeah. Not even that. He's not even in a dimension. Just he's completely floating out there in the nothingness or unknowingness. The mind cannot be an emergent property of the brain existing. Okay, so what's happening here? Otangelo is making a real common category error in that he's taking the things that he internally recognizes and talks about and reifying them and saying that physical properties are very different from mental properties, and that's just an old fucking song. I mean, it's a really old song, kind of like this song here. Like that song. Anyway.
Good sound quality.
Yep.
That's a great song.
Yeah, the Benny Hinn song, Playing the Bugle.
Benny Hill. Benny Hill.
Playing the trumpet.
Benny Hinn, according to Otangelo.
Yeah.
Oh, even better. Even better.
Yeah. Okay. So consciousness, which itself is something fundamental, okay, assertion alert, they are essentially different than physical things. Therefore, dualism is true. And since the universe had a beginning, assertion alert, the mind proceeds and exists beyond the universe. That mind is God. QED. Thank you, Otangelo. That was pretty fucking good, actually, Otangelo.
Okay, now,
QED.
Maybe I could entertain the thought of that God. Now, show me that God is Allah.
Yeah.
From the Quran. Make that leap.
I won't even go there.
All right.
Yeah. But I yeah, you get your point. They need to show that first. That's the first place you want to get them. Oh my God, Danny's here. Yeah, it's a Danny.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Danny. Hey.
Hi, Danny.
How you doing today?
Well, that's the
It's
biggest
good day.
issue that they have, is trying to get it down to Allah
Yeah.
or Yahweh. Trying to break it all the way down to Yahweh is not going to work.
But that's not Danny's issue, is it? Danny, you're not a Christian, are you? Or a Muslim?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
He has a Christian hangover.
Oh, you were a Christian at some time.
Yeah, I was a Christian like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Christian hangover is your problem, Daddy.
All right.
I don't know what that means.
We need to give you some fucking tomato juice and some V8 and cleanse you of those toxins. Dualist toxins, I call them.
I
So
wasn't
how?
a dualist, but the weird thing is I was a physicalist when I was a Christian.
Yeah.
So
What does
Danny, help me to grasp your non-natural. How do I grasp your non-natural?
I guess for purposes of the discussion, something like it's all natural states are descriptive.
Yeah, but what the hell how does that get you there?
I don't even know what that really.
What a descriptive statement is? Like there is I don't know, there is coffee.
I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of statements.
So does that mean that your non-natural state of which you speak cannot be described?
Well, I don't know what I mean, the point is that it's normative. It's prescriptive. My beliefs are normative. They're prescriptive as well as my desires.
I'm a layman. I got no idea what any of that means. So
The idea is that my
try? Wait. Try this.
I was going to explain it.
Try this as I'm a layman. Try to describe your non-natural. Is it a non-natural world? Is it a non-natural realm? Is it a non-nat? What would you? It's just the non-natural. Like, can you describe
There are
it
various
further?
things that can be classified as non-natural, but something like the idea is that my beliefs and my desires count as reasons. They are standards themselves, but descriptive states are not standards.
Okay, what is a standard?
Something that's a reason given, or something that creates the possibility of success or failure.
Well, I see desires and reasons as natural.
What do you mean by natural? Do you understand that if I mean, we might mean different things by natural, in
I
which
think we
case we're
do,
not disagreeing,
probably.
right? There's no disagreement if
Right.
we mean different things.
Danny,
Right.
can I ask a quick question?
Well,
Yeah.
I go ahead.
Just because I think, because the last time you spoke, you said that what you meant by non-natural was that they weren't governed by natural laws. But would you also extend that to non-natural as being something that just doesn't exist in the natural world? Or that it does, but it's just not governed by the same laws and forces that govern the natural world?
Well, it's tricky. Remember we had the discussion about abstract objects,
Mhm.
and then there's like values as well. I might be convinced that they might exist in space or have a location. So it just like the idea of the prime meridian or the equator or center of mass. That I'm not so sure that those are natural things per se. They're almost like mathematical, but I don't think that like if we might disagree on mathematical objects, but whether you think they exist or not, we still talk about them, and we don't talk about them in terms of causal dispositions like that like something like glass has a causal disposition to shatter, and that can be described by certain laws or but 3 doesn't have any causal dispositions.
I agree. I view math as something that's abstract, but for me, and this is just for me, I view abstract, a good way that I would summarize how I view abstract. No, you guys not hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So for example of how I view abstract things with temperature. Let me turn this down. I don't like how loud that is. So like temperature is something. Temperature is something that I would consider to be abstract. Like temperature to me doesn't actually have a location in space-time. Temperature doesn't cause anything. Temperature is just an abstract description of the state of affairs of some physical material.
You wouldn't think temperature is like. You wouldn't think temperature is like seconds and minutes.
Not necessarily, no.
I think that's to me. I understand temperature in terms of like a sentence, right? That they're kind of like indented system of measurement.
You look a lot older when you're looking at the camera directly. Just letting you know. You really
I'm an old man.
Is temperature part of the natural world, or is temperature non-natural?
I would argue all abstracts are a part of the natural world, because if intelligent agents like us, which are a part of the natural world and who are contingent upon the natural world, if we did not exist, abstracts would not exist either. So abstracts themselves being, I would argue, non-material are still physical. They still rely on a physical realm and on agents within that physical realm who are themselves physical for their existence. Abstracts emerge out of the way that the physical world works, i.e. intelligent agents developing through evolutionary processes and being able to abstract things.
1 second, guys.
In my personal opinion, I would argue there is nothing that exists and can be demonstrated to exist that is non-natural. That's me.
Do you think minutes exist?
Minutes, yes.
I don't think so. I think temperature, minutes, all of those things.
They exist as abstract. I wouldn't argue they're concrete. They don't have like locality in space-time. But I don't think, for me, that's not what existence means. They exist, but they're abstract.
Yeah, you kind of went off the path there. You're saying do minutes exist? I would ask you, are minutes natural?
I think they're constructions. Or if they're, I might say, grant for the sake of argument that there's some sort of platonic object.
What are they? What are they constructed of, if not something of the natural world?
Well, I don't think it's going to be reducible. Like, I don't think, like, I guess you could like logically reduce it, but when you're asking about like, when I'm saying the word construction, I'm saying that they're mind dependent, right? That so like, if you understand temperature in terms of like the distance between various particles, and the amount of energy they have, or I'm sorry, I'm not a physicist, so
temperature would be a macro level description of that. To me, temperature is abstract. Temperature is not a real thing in reality. It's the way that humans interpret the energy present at a macro level in materials, and that we can use mathematical systems to quantify that. That's how I would describe temperature personally.
I have to think about it.
Well, if you say the mind is not natural, then you and I are pretty much at an impasse right there, because I still don't really understand. I don't have a framework of thinking. I don't have any way to grasp, as far as I know. I don't have any way to grasp something that is non-natural, because I have a natural framework.
I guess let's table the temperature, minutes, time stuff, because I think there might be some interesting things there, but I haven't really developed well in my mind. But I guess the way you can think about this is the way I kind of formulated the premises, that I think there's the world is divided between two kinds of truths. And the truth of what should be, or what should happen, or what should be, what is happening. Sorry. That the idea is that the world's divided between what should and what is, right? What should happen is different than what is happening, right? And that divide to me is unbreachable.
How do you know that? How do you know that what should happen is not what is happening?
Because anytime you say X should happen, there's always going to be an open question of whether it is happening or it's not happening. The idea is that if I should be talking, me talking or not talking is consistent with that truth.
How do you know? Are you wearing a tie?
How do you know?
Let's just call it. Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
How do you know you should be talking at all?
That's where I understand. I understand that my desire has a built-in ought, a built-in should, right? So in the same way that if I said I should be talking, talking or talk.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't mind being interrupted.
I was going to say,
I'm trying to help.
Built. When you say that my desire has a built-in, isn't that what you just said? That my desire has a built-in something, right?
Yeah. First of all, a couple things.
My question was who or what or by what mechanism was that built?
Are you asking about a causal, like a causal explanation, something like that? Like how I have a desire to speak right now. I have a desire to have a conversation. Are you asking what explains that desire? Or are you asking something about the nature of the desire?
I'm asking you what you mean by that desire was built. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that's not the word build. I might not be being responsible with the language, but think of concepts as being built by other concepts or propositions. So for instance, the standard philosophical example is a bachelor. Well, the idea or the concept of marriage and male or man is built into that bigger concept, bachelor. Okay, so if I have a concept of a bachelor, then that comes with other concepts or other truths, including ideas about marriage and the distinction between man and woman, right? So what I'm saying is that if one has a concept of a desire, I'm arguing they also have a concept of what should happen. Because if I desire to speak, go ahead.
So far, everything you've said, well, not everything, but the last couple sentences you said, all of that, I would agree, is natural. Everything you just said about what it means by being built is natural.
Mm-hmm.
And so I still don't get how you get to this. There's something outside of nature that's building these things for you.
Well, you understand that when I say building, I don't mean like blocks and particles, right? When I'm talking about concepts, I'm talking about, like, as Kant would say, like some kind of containment.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, good. So,
but my question is still, all of what you've said, all of what you've prefaced so far, is natural.
Yeah. So if you understand the natural as any natural truth is telling you how the world is, right? So, for instance, that the speed of light is, what is it, Leo?
299,792 kilometers per second.
Right. That's how the world is. Right. That's not how the world should be. That doesn't make any sense.
How?
Right.
By what? How can you even say that? How can you even say what the like? Basically, here's my question. Maybe it makes sense this way. Who are you to say what the world should be? And I think I'm missing something.
Well, okay. So let's say I say something like this. I believe that the speed of light is X. Does that make it true that it is X?
No.
No, it doesn't make it.
No, I could fail.
Doesn't make it objectively true. No.
Right, I could fail.
But it could still be. But it's still true to you. If you believe the speed of light is 300 miles an hour, then to you, the speed of light is 300 miles an hour.
I'm not a relativist. I'm not a relativist about truth. I think that leads to big issues.
All right, right? I don't even know what that means, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, I can say it really quick. If truth is relative, there's no such thing as disagreement, right? We're not, because everyone is right. You know, if I say the speed of light is X and you say it's not X, then there's no truth. If we're both right because the truth is relative to us, then there's no disagreement. But there is disagreement, so we shouldn't be a relativist about truth. But the idea is that
but we do disagree on many things,
which is why we should reject relativism about truth.
Okay,
right? So I
do.
was just
all right, I get that.
Yeah, I think that we wouldn't want to say that if I think the speed of light is X, that could be true for me, and I don't know what that would. I think I'm either right or wrong there, right?
Right. So what? So and where you and I are missing each other is, you think do you think there's a non-natural realm that's true? And I don't see.
Yes, I do.
Right, you do, and I don't see any way for me to get there.
Yeah, it's going to take some. Well, let me just agree that what I'm saying sounds very unconvincing and not persuasive at the moment. That, us being convinced by something doesn't really matter, right? Because we could be convinced of all sorts of falsehoods. That doesn't, so let's say, for the purposes of a conversation, I just want you to understand the terms that I'm using. And I understand that you might be using different terms. And so that might bypass any kind of disagreement, right? But if all I'm saying is that if you accept these sorts of concepts, which I don't know if you do or not, then I think you're committed to saying that there are two kinds of truths in the world, right? And the two kinds of truths, I want to say there's truths about how the world should be, and there's truths about how the world is. And that's what I call dualism.
Okay, I don't get that. I don't get.
I'm confused.
Because that, to me, you are just saying that there is something. You're basically just in, and maybe I'm straw man you. I don't know, but I'm trying to find out. You're basically saying that there just is an entity out there that is prescribing these things. There has to be something. There has to be something that determines the way things should be, as opposed to the way things are. There has to be something, someone,
Can I ask a question here?
some mechanism to make that choice.
How can there be non-relativistic truth in what should be?
Non-relativistic truth. So when we say, that's why I want to distinguish belief and desire. So when I'm desiring something, I'm not getting at how I think the world is, rather how I think the world should be. And when I believe something, that's a different kind of. Remember, if you look at the thing that I sent, Speed, that's why I say there are different kinds of oughts. Right? When I'm talking about beliefs, we're talking about something epistemic, right? So if I believe X, I take X to be true. But just because you take X to be true doesn't mean it's true. You can fail with respect to the aim of the truth. But the way a desire works is something a little bit different. It's a different kind of ought, right? I might recognize that what I desire has not been actualized or is not true of the world. Right, but that's what I want to be true. And so that leaves the open question of whether it's true or not. Right. So I want to have a conversation. I'm succeeding because it is the case that we are having a conversation. But if Speed kicked me out, then I still want to have a conversation. And so now I'm failing, right? But the success and failure are of a different kind than what we're talking about belief, right? Because when we're talking about desires, we're talking about moral or practical stuff. Whereas when I'm talking about belief, I'm talking about truth or falsity itself.
May I?
I was trying to respond to Leo, but
sorry.
I don't know if that had.
Go ahead, Leo.
No, I don't really have anything to say.
So
I'm still confused, Danny, on where do these desires that you have come from?
Okay, when I hear that question, I think you're just asking for an explanation for one's desires, right?
I believe so.
I don't think.
Why do we have desires?
I don't know how I could possibly be any clearer. Where do you think your desires come from?
Well, the reason why I'm trying to clarify is because I know you're going to disagree. Okay, so let me finish the thought.
Well, no. I can make it clearer. I'm sorry. I think, as far as I understand you believe your desires come from a non-natural source. Is that right?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, so
now I'm really confused.
So not necessarily. So saying not necessarily. So that means you think that some of them come from a natural source, but others don't.
Right.
Okay. And you're not a theist, are you?
No.
Well, I mean, so were you going to flesh that out for him?
Oh, I think his question was, look, maybe this might have been his intuition that look, it's obvious that when I drink alcohol, a physical thing that affects the way I act, the way I think, the way I desire things. And so obviously there's an interaction between the natural and my mind, a physical thing in my mind And I think he thought that I didn't think that. For maybe.
Well, right, but the question still stands, and you've just now bifurcated the source of those, by saying you believe some are natural, some aren't natural. So I'd like to hear what your explanation of that is. Myself personally, I mean, I'm not speaking for Doubting, but he did ask the question.
So like an example, so I gave an example of like drinking alcohol or someone, and then feeling different / thinking differently. That's just a clear example of the physical or the natural interacting with the mental. But
sure, that's a very clear example. Sorry to interrupt, but that's a very clear example of something natural, Danny. What you just said, alcohol and its effects on the brain is natural. And my question wasn't really about that at all.
Okay.
It was about from what realm, from where do your desires come? Do you think you can explain that to me? Other than to say they don't, you just believe they don't come from the natural world. And if that is your answer, I have to accept that's your belief, right?
Okay, so you're not asking like why I have, because obviously I have beliefs right now and desires, and I'm
not asking why. No, I'm not asking why you have desires. No. You keep saying, it seems to me you're saying your desires are non-natural.
Right, and well, actually, he said that they come from both sources, and then he gave an example of that. Well, we got this thing through the.
Yes, when I first started this conversation with you, Danny, you led me to believe. I think I asked you point blank, "Are your desires non-natural?" And you said yes. And now you're saying some of them are natural and some of them aren't.
No. I didn't say that.
You're
okay.
I said that they could come from a natural source, or they could be explained by natural state.
You got a lot
all of them.
That's Danny's daddy voice right there.
Is my audio?
Sound like
your audio is horrible right now, Danny.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, it went
for
on.
lack of a better term, it's roboting, but it's not roboting. If that makes any sense. Like,
go away. Do not stop.
I found an interesting article from Springer. Where do desires come from? Positivity offset and negativity bias predict implicit attitude toward temptations.
Springer?
No, because desires can be reduced to what the brain is doing.
Well, I mean, if Doubting had asked me that same question, and of course, I'm don't have all the scientific knowledge and shit that Danny has, but my first thing, if he said, "Where do your desires come from, John?" I would say, "From my brain." I mean, that's the only answer.
But you see, I could accept that. There's a version of that in which is true. But what I'm saying that the nature of a mental state, specifically an intentional state like a belief or desire, is not natural.
How so?
Yeah, how could it?
It makes no sense, because intentional states are the result of physical processes happening in the brain. If those physical processes weren't happening, intentional states wouldn't be a thing.
Well, that I could accept that. Remember, what you're saying is something like the result of, or the outcome of. That's a cause-effect relationship, not an identity relation.
I mean,
Sure.
Danny, are you maybe using a word like, okay, because if you were to say desires and beliefs are immaterial, but they're still natural, though. I mean, that I could buy, but the idea that you're saying they're not of the natural realm doesn't make any sense to me as a non-scientist, I can tell you.
Yeah, I get that. No,
Can I ask a question, Danny? Would you say that intentional states are non-natural in like the same way that, hopefully you know this game, the same way that like RuneScape or World of Warcraft is non-natural, where, I mean, like you can fight dragons and do magical spells, and that stuff like obviously goes thoroughly against the way that our nature operates. because to me it seems like you're using non-natural in that sense.
Well,
would
I think there's
really
a further
consider that
complication,
non-natural.
though. I think there's a further complication to that, though. That RuneScape, temperature, numbers, abstracted don't fail. Beliefs can fail, desires can fail,
I agree.
and
It's
that's
part of
what distinguishes them.
Danny, is part of what you're saying is that you balk at the idea that anything that is immaterial can't be identified as natural?
These are ambiguous terms. So I think that it's non-physical, immaterial, or non-natural, every sense of the words. So if you're distinguishing immaterial from like non-natural, I would need to know what you mean exactly.
Well, because there are things that exist in our universe that are immaterial, and they exist.
Okay.
You've been talking about some of them for the last half hour I've been watching.
Like numbers and stuff.
Yeah, and ideas and desires and wants and needs, those are immaterial, but they exist in this universe with us right now.
Yeah,
like,
so those are,
okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So those are immaterial abstract things, but I'm saying that beliefs are immaterial concrete things, meaning that the thing 3 doesn't cause anything. RuneScape,
right. I agree with that, but what I'm saying is it your position that anything of that nature, of that immaterial nature, can't be identified as natural?
Yeah, I would agree. I think everything that's immaterial is non-natural.
Yeah, that's where your problem lies, man.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. Quantum fields are immaterial. They're definitely not non-natural. They're what make up the natural realm.
Yeah. So my ontology doesn't include substance; it only includes properties.
So wait a minute. So just to make it get it a little more succinct, to answer what Leo just said. So you would say then that anything immaterial that's a product of a mind cannot be also identified as natural.
Yeah, I think I'm committed to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just, honestly, I think we're understanding Danny, and I think Danny's understanding us, and it's just a fundamental disagreement. We disagree that with what was just said, which is okay. I mean,
yeah, if that's how he looks at it.
Danny, are you familiar with Rorty's antipodeans, his argument?
I try to avoid Richard Rorty on the mind.
Okay, and this paper argues against it.
It just makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
Richard, you shouldn't avoid Richard Rorty. He at least explains what the problem is. And it's like,
do you know that he's an eliminative materialist?
What's that?
He's an eliminative materialist.
Yeah. So
to me that's self-defeating.
No. No.
Why would you say no when you don't even know what I'm saying, Speed?
I know what the fuck. Oh, you motherfucker!
Hey, there you go again, man.
Jesus Christ! You really want to take this up a notch, don't you? It's like,
I just don't understand why you wouldn't ask me, oh, how does that follow, or what do you mean by that, or give me the argument. Wait
a minute, Danny. You asked him directly. He is a this, and Speed said, I know. Well, but you don't understand what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, he just got done telling you he understands what that man is.
Does he understand why I think that it's self-defeating?
How would I know that, Danny? You haven't told me.
Exactly. Why would you disagree if you don't even know my reasoning?
Why does it matter if you think
that's what I disagreed with? We're talking about Rorty.
Materialism is self-defeating.
And eliminative materialism.
I don't know if Speed is an eliminative materialist. I'm not.
I'm a sort of one. So a version of one.
Yeah, if I were to be a physicalist, I'd be a non-reductive physicalist, but of the kind that like wants to make a relation between the mental and the physical, not eliminate it.
I do make a relation between the mental and the physical. I do not eliminate it, but I hash it out in terms of the physical. So in that respect, I'm an eliminativist.
That's not that seems to be inconsistent with eliminative materialism.
It's inconsistent with
what is it that you take eliminative
it's inconsistent with a version of eliminative materialism, probably along the lines of what the Churchlands talk about, but it goes a lot deeper than that. And there are varieties of eliminative materialism. Okay. And I'm a variety that I do accept the mental and the in a frame, but only in a frame. When you step out of that frame, God's eye view, you look at it physically, it disappears. So
It doesn't. That I don't. I don't know what you mean.
Can I ask a question before you move on?
Yeah, of course.
Because it goes back to what we were talking about. And Top Dog Shattuck asked the same question. Do you think some part of our mind comes from another dimension?
Sorry. Dimension, like directionality or something?
I knew you were going to equivocate on the word dimension. Do you not understand? Do you not understand what is meant by that question?
No, we don't really use that term very often in philosophy of mind.
You don't use what term? Dimension?
Dimension, yeah.
Okay.
He is actually correct there. That term doesn't come up in philosophy of
Sure.
mind.
Okay. Granted.
Yeah.
Granted. Granted.
Albeit that it doesn't come up in that topic. Okay. I know you're on a specific topic right now, but when Top Dog Shattuck or Doubting Thomas ask that question, you have to know what they are implying when they say another dimension.
I think I kind of stop after like 4 dimensions. I don't. So if you're asking if my beliefs and desires have a time and a location, I'm inclined to believe that, but I could be convinced otherwise.
You're inclined to believe what? I'm sorry?
That my beliefs and desires are in a time space or a time location, if that's what you meant. But another dimension,
perfect. Yeah, that's what I meant. Is what you just said, is that time space dimension that you just said where your beliefs and desires are, is that natural?
Time and space I don't consider to be I don't consider time to be natural. I think it's metaphysical. And I'm actually unclear about what it means to say there's a location. I don't have a good, robust understanding for you.
Well, that's actually fits well within the current physical framework, because in physics we don't really know what space is because it's completely irrelevant to like quantum mechanics. Particles having a location really, it's almost arbitrary. It just really doesn't matter when you break it down. As far as time being more metaphysical, I think you can interpret time within a metaphysical framework, but time is actually a physical property of reality.
Yeah. Do you think? Well, if you understand physicality in terms of causal dispositions, I wouldn't be committed to that. But if you understand it differently, then probably so.
If you're using a clock that is based on, some atomic level thing, how many times it oscillates or whatever, and you're measuring the oscillations. I don't know too much about it. I'm using what terms are familiar with me. That's a physical measurement of time, isn't it? I mean, that's
but it could fail. The point is that it could fail. Like you.
Well, how could it fail? I mean, I must not understand something about those type of clocks then, if it could fail.
Did I disconnect again?
For a second, you went dead. Yeah, if you were talking, we couldn't hear you.
I thought you were just thinking.
Danny?
I can't tell if he's like in deep thought or if he's cutting out.
I think he's frozen. Are you here, Danny?
I wonder if he's on his phone.
Well, I did notice that he started talking long before his lips started moving.
All right. Yeah, I think he's dead in the water right now.
And with that big a TV screen, I'm thinking he's in a classroom or something.
Yep.
Don't you think the frozen version is better?
Sorry, I switched to my hotspot.
Is it just me?
That didn't happen again.
Is it just me, or maybe I'm seeing this wrong? Maybe I'm completely off the loop. But Danny, it seems like you can tell me very little of any substance about your non-natural world.
Yeah.
Is that just me, or do other people?
The way I would describe it, and I'm not trying to be pejorative towards you, Danny, but like when we've disagreed on different things, and then recent in recent days when things have transpired between you and the group, I don't know if you might have heard me say this in a stream, if you were in a chat or you were here. I've affectionately been referring to you as OG Junior.
Okay.
And I mean, it's just, I'm just joking, but the fact is it's almost like the way you're describing or answering these questions that Doubting Thomas has been asking you is almost like when Otangelo is like, well, we don't have to know how God does it. We just know that he does it.
Well, I have said that that the interaction problem doesn't turn on the coherency of dualism. And that just means that I don't need to know how the physical and the mental interact if I have an argument to show that they're different ontological categories. So now let's just pretend that my argument works.
I'm sorry to interrupt you again. I really am. But I have yet to see the argument that you just spoke of.
The argument that shows that there's a distinction between like my desire and whatever is natural.
Yeah, I can show that argument if you want, Danny.
Did you show the updated version?
What would that be? The one at the end of the video?
Remember the beginning of the dissection of the video that we premiered? It's that.
Okay, the updated version. Hang on a second. Let
me find that. And let me, what brought me in here was something you guys were talking about 10 minutes ago. And I just wanted to ask Danny, like you were bringing up the example of how, I can't remember what the topic was, but you brought up the example of like, if you know that a bachelor is an unmarried man, well, there's other concepts that are entailed by that, to know that you also
by bachelor, right?
What's that?
By bachelor, right?
By bachelor, you have to know that what marriage is, and you named I think a couple other things contingent to the knowledge of what a bachelor was, and all those that's just linguistic presuppositions. I mean, that has nothing to do with the topic you guys were on. I mean, just because you have to have these different concepts when you understand another concept. I mean, when you write the man as a bachelor, you just have to have those linguistic presuppositions, the knowledge you were talking about. You know what marriage is when you know what bachelor is. Or, if I say Jane, stopped being a store clerk, well, you'd have to know that she was a store clerk to understand. I mean, I guess my point is that it's like a different topic than what you guys were talking about. I mean, there's not.
Let me explain why I brought that up. I'm saying that just like bachelor and other notions like tree and whatever other concepts, there are other concepts that are built into it. There are things that are built into desires and beliefs. And one of those things I'm trying to argue is oughts. Right, normativity. I think normativity is built into the concept of a desire. And that's what I was trying to illustrate, that we can have things like desires and beliefs, but they can break down into further concepts, just like we can break down bachelor in terms of further concepts. And one of those things, when we break down what a desire is, well, look, it has this property of creating the possibility or failure of success. So that constitutes normativity. So desires are normative.
So Danny, do you want to? Is this the argument that you?
No, but this. I mean, the point is that people wanted it in a more valid form. This is not a valid argument, right?
Okay, so where did you put it up in that form? So where can I find that?
Well, unfortunately, I only have a picture of it. I don't have the text itself. Let me get the.
Okay. If all these are true, okay.
Let me get the more formal.
I was reading that, by the way, Speed.
Oh, you didn't tell me you were reading that. How the fuck? I mean,
you put text on screen. You need to assume somebody's reading.
Do you have any evidence that you were reading that?
No, I don't. Other than my word.
There you go.
Oh, okay. I see how it is.
Danny, are you wearing an American Eagle brand flannel?
Oh my
This?
Yeah, the flannel,
no.
not the sweatshirt.
Yeah, it's
or
American
the
Eagle. Yeah, it was on sale.
Is it pink and black? Mainly?
No, it's more burgundy.
Can you stand up? Let me see it. I'm trying to if I have the same.
I'll show you
one.
my outfit. I'll show you my outfit.
Yeah, he wants you to do a 360 too, so we can get.
I will. Oh, I will still do this.
Yeah, he wants to see your butt.
Okay, I'll show you how. Okay, let me stand up.
Danny, Danny, do you
Okay,
know how
no,
to
I
twerk?
I don't have the same flannel, but American Eagle does have good flannels. I like.
You know what? You know what would make that just perfect, Danny?
It froze in the perfect spot. It really did.
You did.
You see the outfit.
I'd like to get. Could we get Danny to twerk and Leo to say phenomenologically at the same time?
No, because then you'll have to change your underwear.
Oh man, at least.
Okay, let's try to locate Danny's desire on this illustration of Danny that we have frozen.
I wonder if he even knows it's frozen.
I'm not sure if he does.
Oh, there he goes. He's refreshing.
Okay.
Oh.
Fashion show, and we missed half of it. Fuck. Was there a poll involved?
There we go. Okay.
No, I think there's a poll.
Oh my god, are those purple pants?
I think there's a poll involved with
Danny.
I think there's a poll involved with doubting Tom.
They're not purple. They're not purple.
Danny,
Hey, Danny, excuse me, Danny.
My poll is
How are
purple.
you feeling? You look like you don't feel
I did
good.
that for Leo. I did that for Leo though.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you heard me. That was not the flannel that I was thinking of. I have like 6 American Eagle flannels.
You know what would make that outfit perfect, Danny?
A bow tie.
And what?
You fucker. Yeah. Bow tie?
I don't. My teacher salary doesn't allow it. I can't afford ties or bow ties yet. Maybe next year.
You can't.
Just go to Walmart.
Bow tie.
You can afford anything at Walmart.
You could literally get like a clip-on bow tie for like $2 anywhere.
I'm going to say this one time and one time only. The next time I see Erica join this show, but she doesn't come on the stream, I'm fucking timing her out. You don't get to do that. I'm sorry. You don't get to do that. Nope.
Just in time for the fashion show.
Oh, Erica is out running or working on her thesis or some other. And it's the same as Immutable. He's at the mall or he's walking, you know. The fucker, I asked him to help me out on Saturday and run a show, and he's like, I have a life. I go to the mall on Saturday. Like, okay. Those two things do not.
Yeah, I have a life. I go to the mall. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't go to the mall before COVID hit.
I haven't been to a mall.
You go to the mall 2 times in your life, okay? Either you're a teenager and you're going there to hang out, or you're an old person going there to walk laps.
Okay, the Mall of America is a $10 billion housing project for crickets right now.
Wow. Well, crickets need a place to live.
That's all you hear is crickets.
I'm all in favor of good housing, affordable housing for crickets.
Did you know they have wasps in there? WASPS, I can't say it. Wasps in the Mall of America.
Wasps.
Well, it's in Minnesota, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that really does.
But they have a bunch of trees in there, and they had some kind of an insect problem, so they imported these non-stinging wasps to go in there and eat beetles or something, because it's like a giant greenhouse. It's like going to Florida, going to the Mall of America in the middle of February. It's really cool. It is like a greenhouse, big greenhouse, with crazy kids riding on rides, screaming at you.
I gotta tell you, I'm like getting fucking. I'm today it's been like that all day.
Yeah,
like people, like Knock was doing that to me on our stream all day long. I just go to say something, he'd finish my sentence for me. I go to tell a joke, he'd tell the punchline. I go to say, Danny, you finish the fucking sentence for me and say the punchline. Like,
You're getting predictable, John.
I'm sorry, John. Okay, we derailed you, Danny, and Doubting Thomas. Danny was going to explain design. You see, do you understand what I meant in the video?
You're supposed to be finding something, Danny. Had you finding something to put on the screen?
Did I understand what? Are you talking
My
about Doubting?
complaint in the video that I did at 1
Not
o'clock.
at all. I didn't understand any of it.
Okay, so yeah, so you were talking about semantics, and this is the semantics problem. And when you put up your argument, you talk about desires. Now there's a rich set of interconnected meanings and concepts and linguistic and cultural aspects to the word desire, right? And that's what I mean by fleshing out the semantics. And that's what Doubting Thomas kind of asked you to do, to explain what a desire is in your terms. And
absolutely, we don't want to talk past each other. We want to get at a conceptual understanding, not a we don't want to be using different terms or understanding terms. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And when you're talking to naturalists and you say desire, we automatically flesh it out in different terms than you. So it is very but if you're attacking naturalism, then I think you have to cross over to our side and try to attack it on our terms, I think. Now, your terms, we are having trouble understanding. It's almost like you to use fighting words, pull it out of your ass, these terms, and you just, you're saying, okay, there's this dualistic realm, but you can't really tell us a lot about it. Doubting Thomas, is that, does that kind of make your point for you?
But this is
hold on. That's about it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but wait, we all have desires in this room, right?
We all know what desires are, and we can communicate.
Okay.
I've got desires, all right.
You just fulfilled.
Does anybody know our brain states right now?
You just
hold on. Let me. I'll try and keep it as simple as I can, Danny. I'm a layman. I know very little about philosophy. My desires are in my mind, which is a product of my brain. That's how I see the world. Now, what I think you're saying is your desires are in your mind, but they don't come from your brain necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Something like that. But this notion of coming from is tricky.
Okay, yeah, it is very tricky. So what I would like to know then is, it's tricky, but where do your desires come from? Other than they just come, you might as well, to me right now, you may as well be saying my as in Danny's desires come from this other place that I can't explain. I think that's the best you can do. And I think that's the best you've done so far, is your desires come from another place that I can't explain, because it's tough to explain.
When you say come from, that's too ambiguous for me. I gave the example of me drinking alcohol, even accidentally.
Oh my God.
And being
that's
intoxicated.
Natural. Danny, that's natural. We already went through that.
Hey, Danny, can I just make this point here?
Go ahead, guys.
I know that
it's your show.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I appreciate the fact that because you are technically learned and in your job you have to be technically accurate and everything, but like, you have to sometimes, when you're talking to people like me and Doubting, you've got to let the parochial language go. I mean, because you have to, what we mean when and when you say, well, I need to know what you mean when you say that. I mean, can't you just in your mind understand what he means when he said what he said in a parochial, or not parochial, a colloquial sense?
No, because there are many notions of coming from in philosophy, and they matter.
Yes, in philosophy, but he preceded a statement by saying, I am not philosophically minded. I'm not learned in
philosophy. Which is why I was trying to give an example, right? and I think that the example actually shed some light, right? When I said that I drink alcohol and I get some new thought or desire, that's on my view, that's an interaction between the natural and the non-natural. So in that case, we could explain those new desires, perhaps, in terms of me and by.
Okay, in that example that you just said, what is natural and what is non-natural?
The nature of the desire is non-natural, but the cause of the desire, the substances of alcohol and whatever Hennessy drink, that is all natural stuff.
Okay, so tell me more. Tell me more about this non-natural. I can't even put a label on it, because any label I put on it, you're going to equivocate on. Do you understand where I'm at? If I say non-natural world or non-natural realm, what I expect you're going to say, and maybe I should just let you say it, what I expect you're going to say is, well, realm isn't really the right word. That's not used in philosophy.
No,
right?
it is. It is. Realm is used in philosophy. And I
Tell me
think
more
that,
about the non-natural realm, Danny.
so what realm means in philosophy is something like category.
Tell me
so-
about the non-natural category, Danny.
Right. So the non-natural category is number one. One of the features is that it may not engage in it does nothing in the non-natural category has a causal disposition. And that's not to say that they don't cause anything or the effect of anything, is that there's no causal tendency in themselves.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
You said that they don't have a cause, but they can be a cause.
No, I didn't say that. I said
Okay,
they don't
how
have
did
a
you say that?
causal disposition.
Causal.
So-
Okay, flesh that out.
But so by what mechanism would they affect the natural world?
I take my desire to immediately interact with the natural world such that there's no further
How
mechanism.
does it interact physically? Like, is there some sort of non-natural goo
No, nothing
that-
like that. It's simple.
that bounces that collides with your neurons? Like, how does this desire from the non-natural world transmit to your neurons in your brain to give you a thought?
Okay, this is going to be a little bit long-winded, but I think this is the only way to do it.
All right.
I strike a match. Okay, I strike a match, and it lights on fire. Okay, some people are going to understand that in terms of a cause and effect, but it's more tricky than that, as you know, as people that study science, right? That you can explain it further, right? You can explain it in terms of the chemical composition of the phosphorus and the friction and the heat, and you can. But the point is that you can constantly ask how, what, by what mechanism. And there's going to be a point in principle in which you are going to have a fundamental thing A or fundamental state A and some fundamental state B, and there's a causal interaction between them. And there's no further causal explanation, no further mechanism that's postulated. So on my view, that's where we are between a mental and a physical state, right?
So wait a minute. Are you saying that you find mental states to be axiomatic or presuppositional?
They're irreducible. That's the term. Meaning that you can't understand your desire any further than the way that you understand them now.
Okay, why does that fact, which I'll grant that fact, why does that fact mean that they're non-natural?
Well, that doesn't. No. There are going to be certain irreducible physical things, right? Like, for instance.
Well, no, I realize that, but I'm not saying just the mere fact of irreducibility. I'm talking about the whole explanation you just gave. I mean, I know that's the word you said that it is the right word as opposed to saying axiomatic, but what I'm saying is that why I can't get from A to B. I can't get to. I understand what you're saying there, and the example about the match and all that, but how does that get you to it's not natural though? That's what I'm.
No, it doesn't. I'll work with you there. That maybe that because there's no further explanation, that you thought that meant it's not natural, and it does not mean that. It's just a response to the interaction.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
So,
Okay, then just the overarching whole idea of this conversation that you guys were having long before I showed up. These things that you consider non-natural, I mean, I think this is what Dowding's been trying to find out this whole time too. Where does that come? How do you get there? Is I guess what it boils down to. And thinking these things, A, B, and C, they can't be natural.
And this is what we were talking about, I think, before you came in. But I said something like this, that I think that the world is divided between what should be and what is. Okay. And I just take that our desires to be on one side and natural things to be on the other side. Right? Because natural things express what is happening, what has happened, at the very least. Okay. What will happen. And normative things, because I think desires are normative, I think beliefs are normative, are going to be on the other side, on the should side. Okay, so that's kind of the sketch here.
So you have a should be world. And
right, that's how I understand dualism to be.
This world. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think that in terms of what the is world is, it's tricky. Well, my claim here is a little bit softer than you would think, that everything for what I'm arguing right now, everything natural is in the is world, but it might not be that everything in the is world is natural. Okay. I'm not so, I have to flesh that out. And I think we talked about things like temperature and numbers and stuff.
Is everything in the should world non-natural?
Yes, definitely.
All
for
right.
me.
Right. I honestly, at this point, I don't. To me, it seems like you're playing some sort of game.
Yeah,
it really does.
It does.
Well,
it's
that means we don't disagree.
It seems like
Danny, right now, I'll give you honestly what I think. I think you're a smart young man, and this is what I see. You're playing a game with me right now to see how long you can get me to chase my own tail and engage in this conversation with you.
Okay. If you're bored, you can just leave.
You're not at all interested in me understanding your point of view. I don't think.
I'm not interested in what?
You're not interested at all in me understanding your point of view.
I thought I was answering questions as best as best as I could.
Are you coming at you're coming at this from like an ethical point of view with the shoulds?
Well, I take our desires to be centered to my moral understanding. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the Danny space that I have drawn up here, and you have a desire, right? And do you admit that the desire starts somewhere in time and ends somewhere in time? And
I think
has
so, yeah.
different intensity?
Yes.
Okay. And that it also has certain things about it, like ham sandwich, like a desire for.
Oh yeah. That there's a towardsness and an aboutness. Yeah.
Okay. That really has. It seems to have a physical description about it, or you can talk about it. You can flesh it out, and you can go deeper into what this desire is, how long it lasts. And then the other thing about the desires, it sort of has this like projection ahead in time where you plan to get it here. Like this is what should be out here in time.
Not necessarily.
You're dealing with time.
Yes, but not necessarily. I mean, I desire to have a conversation right now, and it is happening.
Yeah, and you are accepting time as being ontologically part of your Danny space. Your dualism.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So that kind of maps to physicality. So if we were to draw like a subjective ribbon up here, and this is the place where we would have to describe things like our desire, our desire existing in this space for that time. So we're describing our subjective experience, which is actually just moving ahead in time and having more SE, but we'll let that go. So we're describing our subjective experience, and then down here, we physicalists and people that believe that mind is the brain have a physical description where we would talk about what is happening in your brain exactly and where it pops up, right? So you understand that when you introduce time into your Danny space, I'll call it, your dual space, you allow for the possibility of correlating these two things, right? And you believe in the correlation, so you accept that, I'm pretty sure, right?
I think there are correlations with mental states. Yeah.
Mind and brain, right?
Well, that's not understood in terms of laws, though. For me,
not in terms of what
laws.
So there could be something happening here with that. Okay, there's two different things that happen here, and the same thing could be happening here in the brain. Is that what you're saying? You could have two different subjective experiences and the same physicality underlying it.
Could you explain that again?
Okay. So I have one subjective experience of wanting a ham sandwich. I have another subjective experience of wanting pastrami. And down here, they could be the same brain states. They could be the same physical states that give us two different mind states.
Yeah, I think that I could grant a correlation, but I don't see what that has to do with the nature of the belief.
Well, you just said something earlier. You said something that you didn't find a law-like connection between these two different spaces here.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? What do you mean by you?
It means that if it's the case that you found something with a mind with no brain, if you perceive something like that, then it wouldn't violate a law of nature.
Okay, if you perceive that you kind of threw that in as kind of a wrench. If you found something with a mind and no brain, why did you say perceive something with a mind? Oh, okay, there's something with a mind. You think there could be something with a mind and no brain, right?
But in principle, yeah, and I don't think it has to do with a physical possibility.
You mean in principle, or do you mean like on Netflix in a movie?
Well, I mean, the point is that it's not irrational to attribute a mind to Woody in Toy Story.
Yes, it is irrational. You have to suspend disbelief to find that rational. So it's in the real world, it's irrational to think that a child's toy has a brain. You must suspend disbelief to buy into that idea.
So the point is that when you watch
that definition, it is irrational.
The point is that when you watched Toy Story for the first time, you attributed mental lives to the toys. And
that's
because I was suspending disbelief.
Disbelief in what?
Disbelief in the idea that a doll could have a mind.
Well, I don't see a contradiction.
It's a term that maybe you've never heard before. Whenever you use fiction to get some kind of entertainment value, whether it's reading a fictional book or watching a fictional movie, you suspend your disbelief so that you can enjoy the movie. I wouldn't be enjoying a Marvel movie if every time Thor swung his hammer and flew through the air, the only thing I could think of was, well, fuck, that can't happen. Nobody can do that. It's.
You don't think what happens in a Marvel movie could happen?
No, I don't.
I don't know what you mean. Then I could.
It requires a violation of laws of physics. It's physically impossible.
Like the bow and arrow dude could probably do it. The stuff he does. I can't remember his name. Any of the superheroes that have man-made devices to be like Iron Man. Could in some form probably exist.
I'm fine with saying that like what happens in the Avengers is physically impossible, but here's the line of reasoning, right? That when you attribute a mental state to something like a toy in a hypothetical, like in a movie, you are understanding that the concept of a mind or of mental states is distinct from the concept of a brain and a biological organism. So if they're conceptually divorced, right, then they're not the same thing.
Well, I would argue they, in some senses, are. We can because humans have an imagination, we can make a whole bunch of stuff happen. As I was saying, because when I play RuneScape and I can fight a dragon, that conceptually I could fight a dragon in the real world. No, I can't do that.
Wait.
It's like saying that because I see a tree respawn in the same spot from its stump in RuneScape, that that could like maybe happen in reality. No.
So I've lost
No,
I've lost the disagreement. Are you disagreeing with the fact that if it's the case that two things are conceptually distinct, that they are not the same thing? That's what you're disputing?
Well, I don't think a conceptual distinction is the same as an actual physical distinction.
Wait. Okay, so you're saying that there is an actual physical thing called the mind, and then there's an actual physical thing called the brain, okay? And those are the same, presumably, for you.
To an
right?
extent. To an extent.
I'm okay, but the way you can the only way you could establish that is if you have a concept of those things.
Well, look, I agree myself. What I believe is that you have a brain, and your mind is emergent from that brain. And then if you ask Speed, he would say that the mind is emergent from the brain, but it takes all these components from the world that you come in contact with and touch and look at. And I mean, I'm probably not making his argument as well as he does, but you still can't get away from what I think it was Leo had said several minutes ago, that how can you have a mind? How is there a concept of a mind without a brain? Because you had made the statement that you believe that you could have a mind without a brain.
Yeah, I'm saying that the concepts are independent from one another. They're and not only are they independent, but I'm making a stronger claim that they're mutually exclusive. But let's just work with the independent, right? The idea is that it's not irrational to attribute a mind to something that doesn't have a brain, because your
that's called.
Hold on one second, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Anthropomorphization.
Steve, you put something on the screen to read, and then you covered it with a comment. Could you please take the comment down? Please, so I can read what you put on the screen.
First of all, we have to acknowledge what is on the screen, that Guts at Gibbon has a 4 p.m. broadcast, which will...
I have a 7 p.m. CST broadcast. You guys should check it out.
You should link it.
I did.
Okay. Thank you, John.
If you scroll up, you'll find it.
I didn't know where it was. You didn't say anything about it. You just put
Thank you, John, for not being sensitive to what I was trying to say to my audience. You hurt my feelings, John.
Did I?
Yeah.
All right.
My victimhood is high.
I mean, you put the comment on the screen and didn't say anything for like 2 whole minutes, so I couldn't tell.
I was muted. I was actually talking, but...
Yeah, you were? Oh, okay. All right. All right, old man.
Okay. Got you.
Old man.
Got you young punk, John.
You know, else
Somebody's
call
got
you
the
an old
screen
man,
coming
right?
through.
Yeah, somebody's playing something. What the fuck?
We're playing this actual stream.
That was me.
By the way,
Sorry.
Speed,
I was on my phone.
The comment that I made is like literally one before the comment from Scott that you highlighted previously.
Is this Jason Ezra? Where did he post this?
Let's see, it was in some book rating thing.
Wait, what was that saying?
I was not done reading that.
Oh, fuck.
Jesus Christ, guy. Not everybody reads at 150,000 words per picosecond, dude.
That's your problem. Okay. So he posted it in, let's see, what the fuck is it? Romance, Goodreads. It's in Goodreads. He did that review. Ian sent it to me in via phone stuff. So,
don't read or buy any more books from Standing for Truth, Rob.
Yeah, and so are they having a little lover's quarrel?
Well, wait a minute. I'm reading this to say that he's now trying to say he believes evolution and all that shit. What?
I don't know what the fuck. This guy is totally
Jason Ezra doesn't get along with SFT. They haven't gotten along for at least a few months now, so he's just being an ass here.
He got blocked. Oh shit, it's Spooky Bed Hair. Fuck, he scares me every time he pops up. God damn it.
He is amazing.
I got to tell you right now, man. I'm not liking this new name.
I think it's great.
I mean, it's fine for a channel name, but you're still.
Wait, are you talking about like in the chat, John? Because I hate it. I miss the speed of sound in the chat. I don't want answers of Genesis. What is it? Atheism into the chat? Like that's.
Yep. Well, you guys, I guess, you're just gonna have to.
But there's
learn
a way
deal
to
with
do it, right? He can make a brand called Answers in Genesis, and then have a name.
Answers in
Well,
Atheism.
wait a minute. Okay.
Well, that's the
So-
reason that he renamed his channel is because the brand is Answers in Atheism. The person running it is in Speed of Sound.
So go look at the chat. Look at the chat right now. What the fuck is that? Speed of sound.
Yeah, but can you fix it?
Fix what?
I have a very,
Look,
I have a
it
very
has an
important
S on
question.
it.
What?
Very important.
What?
There needs to be an old man icon, right? There needs to be a gravity.
I gotta go fix my icon.
There
You gotta
doesn't
do
need to
it.
be
Yeah,
an
speed of sound of gravity. It's not just speed of sound.
No,
Yeah,
Speed of
God, what is wrong with you, Speed? I'm like, obviously, it's like not the same as we want it, you know. And then you're like, what is it? What's so different about it? It's like everything is different about it. The
It's
name
really
and the icon.
Look at me and Danny doing the enemy of my enemy is my friend thing, man. Isn't that cool?
The enemy of my enemy is still my enemy, though.
I have a question for everybody in chat.
No, it's
Top Dog.
not.
Top Dog Shadak. Top Dog Shadak posted a link in chat a little while ago to a paper on philosophy, and I was wondering if anybody could repost that link for me because I missed it.
I can't even see when this come up must have been a long time ago because
It was a ways back. He linked to a paper on philosophy for
Yeah, I
dummies.
remember seeing that. I'm looking for it right now, Doubting. And just for my entertainment only, could you try and say his name 3 more times?
Top Dog Shadak. Top Dog Shadak. Top Dog Shadak. That's it. That's all I got.
All right.
Oh, fucking Google doesn't make this easy to find shit. How the fuck do you find that?
What
thing?
are you looking for?
Trying to change my icon on Speed of Sound email or that particular.
Are you logged into that account on YouTube?
Yeah, I am.
Then go click the icon, then click your channel. And then once you're there, hover over your icon and it says edit profile picture, and then it will take you into the YouTube studio. And
You got to be in YouTube first before you do that. You can't just be in Google or Gmail. So you would think you'd be able to get there from everywhere, but
well, you can get there in exactly the way that I told you because I literally did it as I was saying it.
Okay, so
YouTube studio.
That link is in the private chat now, Thomas.
Thank you very much, John.
Cat's gonna throw up on my fucking book.
And that's a very I'm subbed to that channel. It's a very good channel to sub to. Crash Course.
That's a StreamYard link.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is in the private
No,
chat.
because you know what? Because I highlighted it and then I forgot to hit copy into my clipboard. So. Yeah, that's a StreamYard though.
That right there, John, is a classic example of interference from the non-natural realm.
Yep. It was a boogeyman. And the funny thing is I almost did it again. Oh, you fucking cunt.
I don't know what you're doing. That's all right.
Okay.
Top Dog Shadak's got it out there now.
I don't give a
Appreciate
fuck.
it.
I'm putting it in the goddamn fucking.
Private
He's determined now.
Yeah. You can do it. You
No,
can do
well,
it.
It won't even copy. If he already fucking posted it, fuck it.
Did
No.
Ontario really
you gotta-
just say dogs don't have a mind and can't think? Because that's wrong.
That's just like the other night when we were streaming. It wasn't even here. I think it was on Jay's channel or Jeff's channel. And I'm trying to literally just black out like 3 lines on a document so that I can show it to fucking Jill. And it took me like 20 fucking minutes, man. He was gone by the time I got it done. Like,
That's fucked up, man. I don't know what to tell you.
well, just, sucks. Getting old. It's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Somebody's Top Dog's here finally.
I just wish I could.
Dogs No, he said dogs had not a mind. So does that mean dogs could possibly now have a mind, like a
I
collective?
don't
Does he
know.
mean?
I'm assuming it was a typo.
And when he says dogs had not a mind, does that mean like a collective mind of dogs that exists? Because there could be possibly
What
a
the fuck is
collective. There could be a collective mind of dogs that
Hive mind?
exists.
Oh,
Yeah, but it could exist
like
in a
that theory.
non-natural realm.
I like that theory because that's why every dog licks their balls then, because it's all the same mind.
Humans must all have the same mind then too, because all humans eat.
That's yeah.
We were out on a walk the other day, a buddy of mine and me, and he saw a dog licking his balls, and he said, "Man, I wish I could do that." And I said, "If you pet him real nice, he might let you."
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. What do you mean by
this is what the atheists do? This is all atheists do. Talk about stuff like this.
What do you mean? What do you mean about dog by dog though?
What do you mean by dog?
You
mean cat?
I need you to flesh out what dog means.
Thomas, just say it's a family resemblance concept.
What do you mean? Hey, Danny, do you know the sexual position scientifically proven to produce ugliest children?
Scientifically proven to what?
Do you know the number one sexual position scientifically proven to produce the ugliest children?
No.
Ask your mom.
That's cute.
Wait, hold on. What the fuck? No, I'm Otangelo just said like the most troglodyte brainworm infested thing I think I've ever heard. The claim that
he can go deeper for sure. Sorry.
The claim that electric impulses in our brain generate thoughts is in contradiction with the laws of physics that consider equivalent all electric impulses inside or outside of our brain. So that means that like if I go to Google or Facebook, it since it's the same electrical signals, those are exactly the same website. That's literally what he said. It's
when you go to the website, I went to that website. When you go to that website, you're going to get this old 90s crappy font HTML website, and it's going to have no citations, no footnotes, no references, and it's going to be by some guy who claims to have a PhD in solid state physics.
And real quick, this all started with, and this is where I don't. Okay. Otangelo claims that dogs don't have minds.
Apparently, which makes no sense.
And they can't think.
Which also makes no sense.
Well, Danny kind of thinks that too, that dogs may not have minds. He's not sure, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What?
Well, how did Lassie know how to tell him to get Timmy out of the well if they can't think?
I know.
Yeah.
Why do they have emotions if they don't think? Emotions are a product of thinking and having a mind.
Yeah, but I think the physical.
How does a Rottweiler know to choke out a baby when it comes across?
No, I think that the physical facts underdetermine the mental facts. So you're not gonna. It's gonna be a matter of perception or intuition.
What?
You can't make inferences from the physical to the mental. You can only perceive the mental.
Then what are you doing? What are you doing exactly when you say desires come?
When desires what?
When desires come from a non-natural realm.
What am I doing there?
If that's not if you're not inferring something, then what are you doing?
I'm saying you can't infer to a desire from a physical fact, simply speaking.
Well, why can you infer non-physical?
You can't make an inference from a physical fact to any non-physical fact in itself.
Can you make an inference? Can you make an inference from a non-physical fact to a physical fact?
No.
Because that's what you're doing when you say that your desires come from a non-natural realm.
No, that's not even an inference. That's just a claim.
I didn't even get to finish
Oh,
what I said.
Well, that's even sillier, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't have to do
And
with
now we're
my claim that
Circle of
if
enrichment.
you can't make an inference from a physical fact to a mental fact, or from a mental fact to a physical fact.
What do you mean by
really-
physical fact and mental fact?
You can't. Okay, so wait a minute. So I bust into your room uninvited, and you're watching porn and jacking off. I can't infer from that what your mental state is.
Not in itself, no. You
Oh
might
my
have
God.
Wait,
Yeah,
previous-
that's right. Yep, you were watching porn and jacking off and thinking about baseball.
But you
Yeah.
weren't horny. I can't infer at all
Yeah.
that you were horny. It's impossible. I can't do it.
I don't
just-
think y'all
I can't do it.
understand. Y'all just like to cut me off. Anyway, what I was saying was you can't make the inference without background perceptual knowledge. You can't do it.
Well, that's kind of what an inference is.
No, I'm saying that with respect to a physical fact itself, you can't get to a mental fact. If it's the case that you've perceived mental facts with corollary physical facts, then you're able to make an inductive inference.
But you have some way of getting from a mental fact to a physical fact.
I'm not talking about like a causal relation. I'm
Well, that
Well,
would all
yeah, kinda like
depend. Now, wait a minute. That would all we would have to flesh out about what you mean by causal inference.
I'm not no, cause and inference are two different things, right?
No, I
But-
thought you said causal inference. I thought that's what you said.
I'm not talking about like inferring to a cause. I'm talking about inferring to a thing, to
Right,
a kind of truth.
But then we would have to go into what you mean about inferring to a thing.
Let me describe what I'm saying, right? When the first way that you come to know a mental fact, it's gonna be perceptual, or it's gonna come from knowledge of your own mental states and what correlates from that. The
Wait a
point is that
second.
you're not
Wait. Can you say that again?
Yeah, the way that you initially come to know that there's some mental fact, whenever the first moment that was, it's either going to be something that you've perceived, or it's going to be something that you've inferred from your own correlation between your mental fact and some physical fact. But it's not going to be based.
How do you know that? Like as far like you just said something a little while ago. That's just a claim.
Well, the idea is that there's no the whole idea rests on this, that there, with respect to descriptive states, there's not going to be a causal disposition between some descriptive states like a natural state and a mental state. So you are not going to be able to draw on some kind of uniformity of nature where you can in science.
So how does any of what you just said not like the first thing you said just a claim?
Okay, let me start over.
Hey, real quick
If
before you start over, Speed, were you planning on ending by 4 o'clock your time since Erica is going live?
Yep, I would like to. I would like to do that.
Yeah, so there's like 7-8 minutes left. Go ahead, Danny.
All right, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm just fucking
So-
with you now, Danny. I'm going to admit it to you. I'm just playing the same game that you were playing with me. So I'm just wasting time right now. So never mind. I'll just come down and tell you that.
Can I make
You
the
know,
statement?
and I was waiting for it to come to a close with you guys because I wanted to say to Danny that you're the only person that I have conversations with, or a part of, like a group conversation. You're the only person I interact with that constantly has to say the phrase, well, let me explain what I mean by that. Like most other people that I communicate with, like even Leo talks in a lot of technical language and everything, and I can always, by the end of when he gets done talking, I can understand the idea of what he's trying to put out there. But more than anybody else I have discussions with, you may say that phrase more than anybody I know, and then go on to rephrase what you had just said before. And I'm not sure, I'm not saying that's necessarily a failure on your part. Maybe it's probably a failure on my part to understand you, but it seems interesting to me. Everybody at some point or another has to rephrase what they said and explain it again because people don't get the gist of what they're saying. But it seems like you have to do that an awful lot.
Yeah, I talked to my professor about this argument about a week ago, and because he knew all the lingo, he instantly accepted the argument. But and I talked to that was Dr. John Cogburn. I talked to, also a week ago, I talked to 3 philosophers in the last week. Dr. Stephen Law, who debated William Lane Craig. I talked to him for an hour. I talked to Dr. Paul Livingston, who's at the University of
He accepted
Mexico.
the validity of your argument or the soundness of it.
So Law accepted the validity, okay? And but saw the reasoning, right? Dr. Paul Livingston, who's at the University of Mexico, accepted the soundness, okay? Dr. John Cogburn.
I mean, if he accepted the soundness, he had to have, by inference.
Wait, the point, it doesn't even matter. They could have all thought that it was unsound. They could have all thought that it was unsound. The point is that they understood me within 15 minutes. Why? Because they're in my field. Y'all are not in my field.
Danny,
it's no different
I
than if I
understood
went
you
to a
within 15 minutes, but I didn't want to understand you, okay? I was hoping that you had something beneath, that you could flesh this out a little more thoroughly so that you could make that bridge, and that's what I was talking to you about. So I was I found the argument to be, I won't say it. We gotta close the stream.
What I was going to say really quickly is I understand exactly what Danny just said. It's no different than if I went to a physicist and asked them about the decay eigenstates of particles in non-abelian Lie groups. They're going to understand what I'm talking about, but I'm probably the only person in the room that has even a conceptual understanding of what I just said.
Right. When y'all talk about science, 90% of the time I have no clue what y'all are saying. And that if I had objected to what you said, y'all would spend hours explaining things to me.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to get you to do, is explain your dual world, and mostly what you come up with is a bunch of words that support each other. So it's a language.
I think it's conceptual. Right now, I could be talking past you, but to my knowledge, I don't know any term that we disagree on yet.
You're not making it. You're not connecting it. You're not fleshing it out so that we would have some reason to accept that there is this dual stream, this other world.
I think where the disconnect is, Danny, is you believe that if you can make a valid argument about something, then that idea needs to be accepted. I mean,
no, I think what I'm saying is very different. It took me a year to understand this argument through and through. I didn't accept it for the first 6 months I heard it.
Who did you hear it
from? Jack Angstreich and Josh Oswell, the realistic nihilist. Some people on Discord, and then later on, I tested it against other philosophers, and I asked. I'm gonna actually talk to Akil Bulgrami at the end of the month about the argument. I read his papers. I'm just started his book, but the point is that any physicalist, I know people that disagree with me, and understand everything that I'm saying. Okay, and it's because they have a strong background in the discipline, and I'm saying that with respect to these sorts of issues like dualism versus physicalism, if you had that background, you could at least say, I understand you, but no, I don't accept the argument. It's unsound.
Well, no, I mean,
we're not even there.
Wait a minute. I think you're not giving people in this room enough credit. Okay, every one of us, and tell me if I'm wrong, we can see the plausibility of what you're saying, but what we've been trying to get out of you is what observable phenomenon can you point to that makes it anything but a plausibility?
Okay, no offense, but no philosopher would ask me that question.
I never claimed to be a philosopher.
No, I'm just look. This is not to be some tack on you. I'm just saying that just shows that you're not in the field, right? And that when the frustration is
wait a minute. So there's no distinction between plausibility and actuality.
The plausibility has to do with some kind of background based on my background knowledge or something, right? But
no, I'm saying the idea that you have been putting forward that there are certain things, mind states and whatever, are not of the physical realm, or they are not natural, whatever term you want to use, that I accept the plausibility that could be true.
Let me speak for a second. I thought what we were just talking about is why is it that I'm the kind of person that has to constantly say, let me explain this, let me explain this, let me explain it, on and on and on. That's all I'm responding to. I could be wrong, I could be, in fact, blameworthy for the poor communication. But part of the problem is that I operate in a field that many people do not. And even the people that disagree with me, right, are gonna ask other questions rather than the questions that are sort of basic to the field, right? Like when you ask a dualist what observable thing, no physicalist is going to ask a dualist what sort of observation can I make to falsify your view, right? They understand that the view is unfalsifiable. They understand that.
Okay,
That's
well,
the
then
problem.
say that. Why didn't you just say that?
No, I'm not. Look, a lot of people ask me that question. There's nothing wrong with the question so much as this is what explains why I have to explain over and to various people, not just
no,
you.
You want to know when he wants that, but no, actually, what it explains, what you just said and what was said before that, it explains why you refuse to change your tack when you're talking to people that aren't on the same level with you, okay? Because the fact of the matter,
I try really hard to explain what I'm saying.
Well, no, because the fact of the matter is that when you say, well, no physicalist or whatever, ask a dualist. I mean, okay. So basically, what you're saying is what I just said like 10, 15 minutes ago. That all you're doing is making an argument, and you are leaping from making an argument that's plausible to pretty much saying to us that it's the case. I mean, you're right up on the line of saying it's the case.
Maybe you're right. All I'm responding to is what explains me being the kind of person that says, let me explain. And I'm just saying there's an answer to that. And that is that I operate within a field that is different from your background knowledge. And so I have to do a lot of explaining.
Oh, fucking
and honestly,
bullshit. My background knowledge is also philosophy, Danny. I'm sorry.
Then it's very sad then.
Well, I think the same of you. It's very, very sad what you've come up with. But okay, Danny, you said your argument was what's shown by before we wrap. I'm talking. Yeah, well, let's go now. Jack Angstreich, is he the one where I could find an equivalent argument to what you're making? I need to find somebody else.
Good luck. Now, if out of all the people that hold to my view, you'll be surprised. Yeah, and if you want to talk with him, now that's no problem. He'll love to talk with you.
I'm wondering if you can give me a link to an argument that I can look at.
Yeah, his argument is going to be even less intuitive than mine. Okay. You will not accept it, right? If you don't, out of most all of the people that take my view, I'm one of the best communicators out of all of them. And if you listen to anyone else, which I will link to you anyways, it will seem even more ridiculous.
Okay, can you put the link in chat, or do you
yes, let me get it for you.
Can I ask my question now?
Yeah, you can.
So, Danny, have you ever ran your argument by any specifically philosophers of neuroscience?
Yes. Oh, philosophy of neuroscience.
Philosophers
only
of
physicalists.
neuroscience.
I don't know
care what they believe. Have you ran it by any philosophers of neuroscience?
No, I have not.
I would be interested to hear how they respond to it.
Why not physicalists?
They would I don't. Well, the thing is, I don't care whether the philosopher of neuroscience is a physicalist or not. That's somebody who understands both the philosophy and the neuroscience.
Yeah,
that's not just philosophy. I want to know what the opinion of somebody who understands the philosophy, but also understands very, very well how the brain
I understand
works.
that. Yeah, I don't know. They're not that many.
I would bet
people.
that their response would be a little bit different than a pure philosopher.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of physicalists that have tried to respond to the argument, and but I don't know any of them that are also experts in neuroscience, and I know they're out there, but those are rather. I mean, do you think Daniel Dennett is a philosopher of neuroscience?
I don't know. Is he?
I don't know. I don't keep up with him, but I doubt it. Most philosophers of mine are not. Dan Dennett.
Dan Dennett is he knows a bit of neuroscience, and
yeah, I don't know any.
He would be a neurophilosopher.
I don't know any prominent philosophy of minder, right? Someone that's into philosophy of mind that has a huge background in neuroscience. Like could be a neuroscientist as well. But that's just me being ignorant, right? That's just me being ignorant.
Antonio Damasio, V.S. Ramachandran. The list is lengthy.
Wait, no, I'm not saying there are none. I'm just saying out of the prominent ones that are shown up in the literature and like in the textbooks, most are not experts in neuroscience.
V.S. Ramachandran is a neuroscientist.
Who knows?
Damasio is a neuroscientist. All of those guys are neuroscientists, and they do philosophy of the mind. They work on it.
You didn't understand my claim.
Patricia
Can I
Churchland
point-
is
Famous
very,
guys
very
like
reputed
McDowell and
hero
Rorty and
philosopher.
Wait a minute. Before you go down, can we deal with this comment here? Because I want to know. It makes me laugh, but I don't know why.
Hunter Avalon vibe. I don't know, Ray. Anyone that knows, dazed and confused, waiting for this kid to make a statement. I just want to dance.
Yeah.
Hey, can I point something out? I had to come back to point this out.
Okay.
Danny, you just said, and I quote almost verbatim, within the last 2 minutes, you said, "I am the best communicator of them all, but their arguments will seem even more ridiculous."
Yes. An
I
argument
want
can
you-
seem ridiculous doesn't mean it's false. Doesn't mean it's not a good argument.
So let's look at that statement. I am the best communicator of them all. So you're the best communicator of what you're trying to communicate, and they're going to sound even more ridiculous. So what you're admitting, just follow me here. What you're admitting is I am the best communicator of them all, but I still sound ridiculous.
Well, right.
Yeah.
And
I'm not disputing that I don't.
Wait. I want to add a fucking cherry on top of that. And you admitted just recently in the last few minutes that you consider us not to be on par with you in philosophical.
Yeah, that's good.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But you are aware of that, and still you can't communicate to us. So you're not making any concessions for who your audience is.
Okay. Well, first.
I'll grant you. I'll grant you that. You know way more about philosophy than I do, Danny. I'll grant you that all day long.
See, what's happening right now is the problem, right? Because y'all have both been talking for the last 2 minutes and don't let me talk, right? Y'all are extremely, not everyone here, but there are
That's
people.
not true, Danny. That's not true, Danny. And I'm going to interrupt you again just to prove your point. That's not true. You've been allowed to ramble. You have been allowed to ramble on and on.
You see, that's what you take my explanations for rambling. So that's the problem, right? You take my.
You have been allowed. Oh, sorry, Danny. Sorry, Danny. Let me reiterate that.
And this is why you don't get it, because you don't let me talk.
You have been given ample time on this channel to describe your views, and for you to state otherwise now is absolute horseshit. Speed of Sound has been more than willing to platform your ideas here. So what you were saying right now is utter grasping at straws bullshit. Go ahead and explain yourself.
I think, okay, so the point is that I'm frequently interrupted, and I'm dealing with an audience, not everyone here is this way, that's very motivated. Very, very motivated, and that clouds judgment. Okay, so there's that factor too, and the point is that what I am saying is highly unintuitive. Okay, I'm talking to a bunch of people that dedicate hours every day for naturalism, almost hours, or at least a kind of atheism, right? I mean, this is a tough crowd, right? And there are people here that have understood me to a good extent. There are people here that have not understood me at all, and I'm not faulting myself for that, okay? Though I failed, okay? The blame doesn't lie within me, okay? It lies with the people that are not understanding me. Yes, Leo.
Well, no, I've been trying to say this for like the last 10 fucking minutes. There are numerous prominent philosophers of neuroscience: Patricia Churchland, Paul Churchland, Peter Hacker, Jennifer Mundale, Valerie Hardcastle, Thomas Metzinger. They're out there. Prominent.
A lot of them are neuroscientists.
Wait, what did you think I said? Do you think I said they weren't out there?
No, a lot of them are neuroscientists, Danny.
Yeah,
No, Danny, but I do. No, Danny, but I do believe, and you just proved it, that what you said earlier about you not having the chance to speak here is fucking bullshit, and you need to retract that. Yes, you just did. You just ripped me and John Peters. Okay.
What I meant to say is that it's very difficult audience. I'm saying that
no, Danny, no, I'm not going to accept that. You just said minutes ago that you were not given the opportunity.
You don't care about what I'm
saying.
You're just talking over me.
You keep saying that.
What do you think I just said? Tell me what you think I just said.
You keep saying that. I know what you just said 2 minutes ago. You told me that I keep interrupting you and you weren't given a chance to speak or say your ideas on this platform. And I am telling you right now That is utter bullshit. You did say
Yeah, I
it,
agree.
Danny.
No,
Am
let
I
me repeat
wrong,
myself.
Speed? Am I wrong, Leo? Am I wrong, John? Did
Y'all
he
won't let me
not
talk.
just
No,
say
he just said
that he
He
hasn't
did
been?
say
You
Yeah,
just
he
said that,
kind of-
Danny. And
kind
yes,
of
I
implied-
know. I know. I'm overrunning. I'm over talking you right now, Danny, to make a fucking point. Because you just said you're always over. Basically, you don't have a chance. You always get over talked on this channel. And that's what you're doing to me right now, Doubting Thomas. I agree. That's what I'm doing to you right now. But for you to make the statement that that's what always happens here is fucking bullshit. You've been given
That's not
more
what
than
happened.
you've
I
been
agree.
given more than
I
enough
agree.
time.
It is bullshit that to say that I had no chance or that you always interrupt me. In fact, if anyone that's been the most receptive in the room, it's you. You've been asking questions. You've been letting me speak, right? And I do appreciate that. Okay. What I was saying, rather than always, maybe you can be charitable. Generally speaking, there's multiple people that are either asking questions, over talking, or kind of joined into the metagame of, oh, you're this kind of person that thinks just in semantic, or you got to think about the different paradigms and just bringing up utter just irrelevant bullshit all the time, rather than really sticking to the argument and really getting at the disagreement if there is one. But a lot of people here are not interested in asking me or revealing to me what exactly they mean by the term. Okay. So to arrive at a disagreement, right? Because as far as I know, the way I've defined natural may be very different than the way you've defined natural. We haven't even compared. No one has put any.
That is a lie, Danny. Everything you just said is a lie.
Tell
You
what
have
have you told me?
You have been given ample time. I have tried my best to flush out what you mean by certain words and what I mean by certain words.
I just granted you that.
Speed.
I just
No,
said
you
that
didn't.
you do that.
You,
yes, I did.
You granted me that. Right,
Let's
Danny,
see if
you
there's any
granted
honest
me
person-
that, but you eliminated everybody else on this channel.
Leo has been silent. Leo
has since I've met you, Danny. Leo has gone out of his way to understand what your terms are, and for you to understand what his terms are.
Leo
has
understands
Speed.
more than anyone else.
So has John Peterson. So has anybody else who has talked to you gone out of their way to try and understand where you are coming from, Danny, and that you understand where they're coming from. And for you to categorize it as nothing else, you're fucking lying, man. You're lying.
Yeah,
I'm going to call you a liar right now.
I'm not interested in the meta anymore. You can call me a liar. I don't care anymore. You can just. I thought
call
you were very
a liar
respectful.
because you fucking lied.
Yeah,
that's why.
I said,
and if you don't get that, then fuck you.
Yeah,
I think you got a pretty good hearing here, Danny.
Yeah,
and you still failed to. You
me.
failed
Sorry,
to.
I was talking. Sorry, He was talking to me. I said that. I own this channel.
Excuse me. I own this channel.
Good.
I run this channel. Okay, so when I'm talking, you got to listen to me.
No, I do what I want. You kick me out if you need to talk. So what I said to you, Thomas, is that you were a very good interlocutor. I thought you were listening to me. I thought you were asking good questions. It was a good conversation. Okay. And then you said, right after I said something like that, you said, I'm a liar, right? I'm saying, generally speaking, people are dense in this room. They overtalk. They want to talk about things that are irrelevant shit to the premises that I give. And I think they're highly motivated. That's my view.
And that is a fucking lie.
Wait a minute. I'm going to fucking respond to that.
We got to end the stream. We got to end the stream.
Hold on. The irrelevant.
I got to go for a bit.
The irrelevant shit that you speak of are usually your premises. Okay? We don't accept a lot of your premises. And then now when you lay down a set of premises and you make a conclusion. And then now here, this whole, I'm just assuming that before I found the stream that we were talking about your argument. We're trying to understand where your argument comes from and what it's based on. And really, we don't get anything from you. I mean, just making an argument is not, I heard the Doubting asking you question after question to flesh out what it is you're trying to say. And we're not hearing that.
Okay, what premise do you disagree with, John? Let's see if you can name one premise. This is gonna be fun. What premise do you disagree?
What are you talking about, man?
Exactly.
Exactly what?
Which premise
Okay,
do you
guys.
disagree with in the argument?
That mental states are not physical.
That's
they're
the conclusion.
not-
That's the
whole
conclusion.
thing.
Give me the premise. What premise do you disagree with?
Hey,
No,
Danny,
you
did
don't
you
know.
give me the angst
You don't
right?
know, John. Isn't that well, that matches
Oh my
perfectly with
God,
what I
dude.
said? You don't know any of the premises. You're
Danny,
ignorant.
Did you give me the angst right? And stop
I was
fucking
looking for it.
insulting people.
No, I won't stop. Just kick
You're
me
a
out of the
little
stream if you're
fucking
done.
dick.
If you're done with
you're
me,
a
just kick
young
me out of
little
the stream.
dick, and you think you know more.
If you're
than
done with me, just kick me out of the stream.
look,
I'm not your
you
bitch.
have the link.
You're my bitch.
You have the link.
If you're not smart enough to realize that I was speaking in general when I said premises, the whole idea of this thing was for you to substantiate your claim that these mental
You
states
said you disagree
are
with the
not
premises.
physical.
Which premise do you disagree with, John?
I'm talking about all the conversations that we have with you.
Name one premise you disagree with in the argument.
Oh my God, dude!
You
I'm
can't
not
name
even
one.
talking just about me. I'm
You
talking
can
about
only disagree with the conclusion. That's all you're good at. Disagreeing with conclusions, not arguments.
Okay, Danny, do you have the link or not?
I have to find it.
Dang, strike link. Okay, let's lay off Danny. He's only going to spit venom at us. So we're going.
he is the most dishonest motherfucker I've ever met in my life, dude.
Yeah, it
We're
says
gonna
here
wrap
that I
the
can't
stream.
name
We're gonna
one
wrap
premise
the
in the
stream.
argument.
We run 15 minutes.
He
to
doesn't
Erica's
understand
stream, John.
questions. I'm sorry, Speed. He pretends he doesn't understand people's questions because he's lording over everybody that, well, look, I'm some big important fucking philosopher that, knows terms that you don't. And then he belittles people that their questions are stupid. The fact of the matter is, you knew exactly what I was talking about. You knew when I mentioned people disagreeing with your premises, I wasn't talking about just myself and talking about the justice conversation. I was talking about all the interactions we've all ever had.
The funny thing is that Speed said he agrees with my premises. You disagree with Speed now? You see, you don't even know what you're talking about.
And you probably don't understand the video I just put out about agreeing.
I didn't,
with your
because I
premises.
didn't make any sense.
Anyway, we're done, guys. Did you find that link yet?
I'm looking for it. I'm right now looking
here's
for
the thing.
it.
Okay, John.
Why does it matter? No. Why does it matter if Speed agrees with some of your premises? How does that invalidate anything I've just said?
It
How
shows
does
that
that
you don't know
invalidate anything I just said?
Well, you were saying you disagree with my premises, right? And you couldn't list one premise. And then the ironic thing is
I did not say I disagree
with the premises.
I did not say when did I say I disagree?
Okay, Danny, I'm going to put you in a corner until you find that link. John, we got to stop. Okay. So anyway, I agree with all the premises of his argument. The premises do not reach the conclusion. That is the problem.
Exactly. I mean, and so I misspeak, and that's what he hones in on, is that I misspeak. He knew what I was saying, and yet then he wants to go to his fucking pedantry and, well, which one of my premises? He knew I meant the conclusion. He knew I was speaking about everybody.
Look, we got to stop distracting Danny by challenging him, John. Please let him give me the fucking link. It's like, I want the link. Thank you. Anyway, so
I think he put it in there already.
This was vigorous. Where did he put it?
No, he didn't.
No,
I saw that there was 2 messages I hadn't read in the private chat.
I want to see this same argument in other people's words so I can be damn sure that I'm understanding it.
Yeah, well, to see if you can understand it, because the fact of the matter is this whole conversation I can't speak to before I got in here was about his conclusion. Okay. And rather than address that, which I was talking about, is about, they're trying to get you to explain your conclusion and you're not giving us anything. And like I compared it to a half hour ago, it's almost like when you ask Otangelo, or when Antangelo says, we just need to know that God does it. We don't need to know how he does it.
Right.
And that's what was coming out of Danny's mouth. And rather than address my valid point, he wants to get pedantic and say, well, premises. What do you mean premises?
Well, oh God, yeah, I'm going to distract him. He's a great philosopher, but he fails to understand the video that I put up an hour before this stream, which explains why it is a semantics problem. And I thought I did it rather well. I could probably do a little better, but
I thought it was pretty
tried over and over to do that. Where's my link?
That sounds like me, Speed, with the premiere that I'm having tonight. Like, I really hope I did a good job, but I probably didn't. I'm going to have to redo the video.
See, and here's the other thing real quick, too, and then I'll shut up. Doubting popped back into the room. We never did get an answer to that question. About you say you're the best communicator, and then I added to that, and then you refer to us as not understanding your field. So what, how is it that, you were live with him for 2 hours and yet he still wasn't able to explain the conclusion as far as like what
Okay,
that conclusion?
is Jack Anstrike the realistic nihilist?
No.
No.
Okay, so does he have a YouTube channel of his own, Jack
Yes.
Anstrike? So how would I find that?
By typing in Jack Einstrike.
And how would you spell that? Hang on a second. Hold on.
It's
What are you trying to spell?
Jack Anstrike.
the guy that he's Darth Dawkins.
It's in the private chat.
It's his mortal enemy. Einstrike is it's either AI or EIN.
Yeah, it's just like you'd think if you were German.
Yeah, it's Streich, STREIECH or something.
Struck. Something like that.
Oh, what is the purpose of philosophy?
Okay, filter by channel. Okay, we gotta end this thing. We can go in the back room, and I will post Simos when Danny gets me the link. I will put it in the description of this video. Okay, but I want to end the stream right now. So ending broadcast, everyone. Goodbye, cruel world.